Hi, I play War Thunder, and I have played it for about a year now, which is not the longest time, but over this year I have achieved 1200 hours in this game, but sometimes I wish I didn't, because War Thunder doesn't hit the same anymore. Even just a year ago when I started playing this stupid game, it actually felt fun. From when I played Rank 3 American Props to when I bought my first premium VF5C. Now I'm pretty fed up with War Thunder, and I want to share my frustrations. So today I'm going to say everything that I could think of about this game. War Thunder, by any means, is not a simple or easy game, but let's try to start with the basics. There are three game modes and five vehicle types in game. You have arcade, realistic, and simulator mode. Arcade is the easiest and gives you the least rewards. Sim is the hardest and gives you the most amount of rewards. And the vehicles go from any kind of tank, sometimes even cars with weapons, like the Type 93 in the Japanese ground tech tree, or just a truck, like the Panzer in the Russian ground tech tree. Then there are helicopters that are super powerful CAS vehicle, close air support, and then planes, which had their separate game mode, but of course you can still play them in ground battles. There are boats too, but I know nothing about those, so I'm going to be ignoring boats entirely. There are also 10 tech trees in game, which include United States, Germany, the Soviet Union, Great Britain, Japan, China, France, Italy, Sweden, and Israel. Of course, Germany is a mix between some old German vehicles from a specific time period, as well as East Germany and normal Germany. And then USSR is a mix between USSR and all of its different like countries, such as Russia itself, which most of its new vehicles is Russian. But then some vehicles here and there are from, for example, Kazakhstan, like the Su-25 BM. In these tech trees, you find many vehicles, and most of them, there are five lines that go downwards that you can research. These vehicles require more and more research as you go down. Rank 1 Air specifically needs 2.9k RP most of the time for most of the planes, while Rank 8 Air needs around, if not more, than 400k RP most of the time. Some of these tech trees were built better than others, such as Great Britain being full of bad planes, bad tanks, and where only one good plane, the Gripen, is the worst of its kind. The JAS 39C in the British tech tree, as far as I'm aware, is the worst version of the C. Because there's a JAS 39A and this JAS 39C in War Thunder right now, as of recording this, and the one in Great Britain is the worst. And China and Israel kind of just take planes and tanks from other countries. Of course, Israel does have their own original tanks, and sometimes they both have their original planes here and there. But most of the time, it's just exact copies or just reversed engineered planes, such as China, who just reverse engineered the MiG 21 a billion times. Meanwhile, USSR has some of the strongest tanks, all the way from reserve to 11-7, and very good planes, such as the Yak series, the MiG 29s, and of course the two flankers. In War Thunder, your tank, ship, plane, helicopter are all realistically modeled after its real life counterpart. Now, what does this mean exactly, you may ask? Well, to put it simply, your plane can be damaged in a way that it will start to spin around, like if your wing gets shot off and you will just spin. Or maybe you lose control over everything if they shoot your control system. Then you just, have no control and you will crash unless you are lucky. And in tank, if your tracks, transmission, or driver gets shot, you can't move. unless you fix those parts or replace your driver with another crew member. I don't know anything about boats, so I'm just gonna leave them out from this video. Again, I'm saying this twice. So I'm not gonna mention any of their damage models, any of the problems with boats. So if you can't for that, you probably don't even exist, and you should go somewhere else. When you crew a plane or a few tanks and load into battle, you will have a team that you can fight with or just completely ignore and do your own thing. You can also squad up with three other friends, and when you do certain things, such as shooting down a plane, capturing objectives, or bombing bases, specifically in Arabi, you get Silver Lions, SL, and Research Points, RP. After you get enough battles and obtain enough SL and RP, you can unlock vehicles through researching it with your RP that you earn over time and buying it with SL that you saved up. This is simple enough, but the one problem, which I will touch again on like in a moment, is that you get super little RP and SL with your reserve tanks and planes, which kind of leads us into our first problem. So, the first problem and the first pain that most people think of when they like hear the word War Thunder, they think of the grind, aka having to research planes and tanks. War Thunder is structured in a way that if you want the shiny modern vehicles you were promised in the advertisements, you're gonna have to grind for them. And grind for them is putting it lightly. If you want to get to top tier without buying premium, you're gonna spend, according to Reddit, over a year, which no one wants to do that. And I get that. So your average player, me included, is gonna buy premium in hopes to grind faster and get their shiny 2000s vehicle in a, maybe a little short amount of time. But no, the average player is pretty bad at War Thunder, especially the ones who just bought a premium, and it's very hard to enjoy it since they keep dying. So they have to search up a tutorial and learn War Thunder that way, instead of, War Thunder providing you with one. And eventually, through bombing bases, they reach top tier. They don't like what they just spent the last 3 weeks bombing bases for, and inevitably do it again in another tech tree. There are some big problems with research, such as kills are very lightly rewarded, especially compared to bombing bases or ground pounding. Getting a kill in ARB, aerialistic battles, can vary from super easy to extremely hard, depending on your playing. But most premiums in rank 6 or 7 make this task decently easy. These premiums usually get good enough missiles as well as the option of carrying bombs, so the player can bomb a base, which will give you double the rewards of a kill. Then they can just get a few easy kills through pure luck most of the time, and get killed by some guy with 10,000 hours. In ground RB, ground realistic battles, it's way different because the easiest thing you can do is capture a point. But that can be impossible to a new player if there's some veteran in an OP sniping spot, which is like almost undefeatable. And our next subject of the video is kind of just something I've collected my own opinion on. Instead of mixing my opinion with somebody else's, I instead formed it up by myself. So I would please beg you to share your opinion about this in the comments. I would love to hear about it. Just be normal and civil about it. Don't do anything crazy. Okay, so my next problem with War Thunder is its squadron points and vehicles. Now, next up, squadron points and squadron vehicles. Sorry if I didn't specify enough. These are free with quotation marks because you have to join a squadron, play War Thunder a certain amount every day, and you will get 20,000 squadron points after 3 days of waiting. This is a problem to me because all squadron vehicles cost more than 100k SP squadron points, which will take a long time to unlock. Some of these vehicles are pretty bad, just average, like Firecrest, while others, like the BMP-2M or the F5E FCU, are broken and needs balancing. I'm not going to talk much about it right now, but the vehicles themselves is kind of the reason I brought this up, because squadron points should be, in my opinion, given to the player at a much, much, much faster or higher rate than what it is. Personally, I just think that if you could get a limited squadron points per 3 days instead of just 20,000, it would be a lot better than what we have now. Or instead, you can make it so instead of waiting 3 days to get your 20k SP squadron points, you'd get it after just 1 day. But what I would just love in my heart, my favorite solution, is that you get squadron points after every game. In my opinion, it would be much better if you just get squadron points equal to how much score you got on the leaderboard, and boom, you will no longer have to wait 2 months to get a single vehicle. Okay, my next topic, very unrelated to what I just said, but compression. I gotta mention this. This topic is a very complicated one, but most of the War Thunder player base agrees similarly about it, no matter what. In this game, your vehicle is given a battle rating, or BR for short, and it just makes it so that your tank or plane can face other vehicles that are similarly matched to yours. But after a while, when you get to rank 5 or 6 ish, at least for air, battle rating or BR compression becomes a big problem because Gaijin, the developers of this horrible game, just gave up on balancing every BR in the game, so it just kind of made it unbalanced, and unbalanced is a bit of an understatement. You can have literal aircraft that flew over Vietnam in the 60s and 70s fight up against a fourth generation air superiority fighter aircraft that absolutely blasts everything that is under itself in BR. Same thing with the F-104 Starfighter. This plane is like so overpowered, but you literally can't die if you get down tier in the F-104. You are simply too fast for the opponents, but of course there are starfighters that are at 11-3, I believe, the one in Italy, and they do suffer a lot. But the two 9-3 starfighters in America are OP and needs to go up in BR, like no matter what. This is the only this is only the surface of the iceberg when it comes to BR compression. But I want to say one more thing before we move on. Gaijin, in their ground wisdom, recently made some BR changes to almost every plane 10 no and up to the highest BR. A lot of these changes were questionable, and a lot of these lack of changes were absurd. They literally moved both the F5C and the F5E to 11.0, which the F5C used to be 10.3 and the F5E used to be 10.7, but kept the F5E FCU, which is just the F5E, but with way better missiles, at 11.3, the exact same BR it was before these changes. And they left the J7E at 11.0. Now, before this BR change, the J7E was pretty good at 11.0, but now it's just completely uncontested at that BR. There's barely anything around this BR that can even hold a candle to it. But enough about BR compression. You can think about that in your brain for a little bit. Let's talk about another problem. Okay, so one of the biggest problems, in my opinion, is that in War Thunder you have match sizes, and these match sizes determine how much fun you will have. In RRB and Ground RB, the match sizes are 16v16, and the maps are always without fail, way too small for a 16v16, especially in air and, I guess ground too, sometimes. But some very rare few ARB moments, uh, but some very rare few ARB matches, you can get a 12v12 game. If you turn on the setting, which for some reason I believe is off at default. Now, 12v12 is still very mildly fun, and maps are still too small for 12v12. Most players, except for some special ones, agree that 8v8 would be perfect, as well as some map changes, such as more airfields that you can spawn on, air spawn, in my opinion, more creative ground slash PvE objectives that you can do spread out like everywhere on the map. And of course, the smaller teams of eight would be way, way, way more fun. And this is actually proven. A few months ago, Gaijin was testing the severe damage system in the events tab, where you could test the new system that Gaijin was gonna add sooner or later. It's now been in the game for many months, and it's a pretty bad system. But anyway, in this event, you could you would oftentimes fight 8v8 instead of the usual 16v16. And this 8v8 was so much fun that I even forgot the event was supposed to be about the severe damage mechanic and not 8v8. Now, this is actual literal evidence that 8v8 is better than 16v16. But of course, Gaijin is perplexed by features that are fun and absolutely hate it, and therefore will never add this ever again. Next up, possibly my least favorite part of War Thunder its entirety, top tier, both air and ground. Top tier is everything that's the highest BR in the game and one BR below that. Top tier, a while ago, like a very long time ago, used to be around 10-0. Then eventually, after some time, it moved up to 12-0, which was the last time War Thunder was fun, and it was recently 13.0. But the news changes, it's now 13.7. The top tier ground is still 11.7. That's the highest tank BR. But you can still bring higher BR planes to make the battle rating itself over 11.7. But no tanks can go over level 7 for now. Now, top tier is very unbalanced and unfair environment for almost everyone. The newest and least balanced features are in top tier, such as Spall Liner, which significantly reduces damage taken to a tank, like on the T90M, or things for planes such as MAW, Missile Approach System, or Missile Approach, or things for planes such as MAW, Missile Approach Warning System, and the brand new Fox 3s, which are active radar homing missiles. Some of these unbalanced features can go from anywhere to everyone has it, so it's not so bad, to only one or two people in the match have it, and no one else does, so it's a billion times harder to fight them. The biggest example of this in RRB is the Tomcat. The Tomcat was like basically overpowered at launch, as far as I'm aware. Became mediocre after a while, but recently, Gaijin made multipathing go down from 100 meters to 60 meters. Multipathing is what happens when the missile target is too close to the ground, which makes the radar like lock under the plane, and that makes the missile hits the ground instead of the target. But Gaijin made multipathing lower for realism, but by doing this realistic change, they made the Tomcat stupid overpowered. Like every plane from 11.3 to 12.7 that doesn't have a Fox 3, which is literally every plane but the Tomcat, can't do anything to fight against it. Like the only thing you can do is wait for Tomcat to launch its Phoenixes, hug the deck, pray that the spaghetti code works, and locate that 14, shoot it down. Hope you have an R27ER because that is faster than the Phoenix. Of course, multipathing being lowered to 60 meters didn't only affect Fox 3s and how OPV are now. Also, normal radar missiles got buffed with this change. I have died many, many times to missiles hitting me somehow below 60 meters and above 60 meters, but still under 100 meters. So if Gaijin's, smart developer team never changed this, my KD in the Mirage F1 C200 would be a lot better. Now, speaking of the Mirage F1 C200, let's talk about premiums. So premiums is kind of like a core part of War Thunder. Now, what I mean by this? Well, it just means that if you don't buy premium planes or tanks or a premium account, you will just struggle with the grind. Premium planes have increased rewards that are higher than top tier vehicles and will prevent something called research penalty from happening. So, a normal vehicle in the tech tree, that is, for example, rank 5, will only be able to research rank 4 to 6. But a premium vehicle in, let's say, rank 7 can research all the way from rank 1 to rank 8, which is the entire tree. Gaijin once said they would never add a premium to rank 5 and said that they want their players to earn top tier. This statement really aged like milk. Probably worse, actually. Now, let's talk about some actually good stuff. I want to just clarify that just because this video have been about bad things that I don't like about War Thunder so far, I think that I can't finish this video without talking about the fun things. First of all, I want to say that I do enjoy War Thunder from time to time, despite my bad opinion about the game. So just because I'm saying these bad things about it doesn't mean I'm a hater. War Thunder has a weird way of making you like it, but it's mostly fun in the lower tiers, if I'm gonna be honest. Middle tier is kinda boring, but kinda fun, and high tier is unbalanced and not very fun. And top tier, well, kinda just sucks all around. But low tier is where the true fun is, my friend. If you don't like War Thunder low slash mid tier, you're gonna have a bad time in high tier. Trust me, I know. In my opinion, low tier is a lot more fun due to the fact that everything is kind of chaotic in ground. Most of the tanks are fast, have decent reload rates, and you can one shot everyone that you fight. But the downside to this is that everyone can also shot you. So there isn't any like tanks with extremely unbendable armor, like an angled tiger, for example. And of course, my main game mode, ARB. Now, ARB is a little different since, in my opinion, Air Arcade and Air Realistic is both fun in low tier, but Ground Arcade isn't all that fun to me. So Air gets some extra points for that. But even in Realistic, which I play the most, I find a lot of enjoyment in props, all the way from Reserve to around 5.0. Most of the time, at least. If you are starting War Thunder and you want to play Air, I recommend either starting in America for their noob friendly tree, or Japan with their brainless props that almost fly themselves. Japanese jets are a different story though, especially the World War II jets. Now, the reason I say this is because America, everybody says this nation is good, and it is, because the best planes do go to America for a lot of the time. I mean, they overbuffed the S16, so that's an example. And Japan, they have brainless props like the A6M, the Zero, all of them really, and they're quite fun to fly. And now I think it's important to mention how I got into War Thunder. Now, it all started one day, I don't remember which, in 2022, when I was just scrolling around on Roblox, as you do, and I found a cool little game called Wings of Glory. I played this game with some IRL friends over a phone call for about 20 minutes before getting bored and playing something else. This is what sparkled my interest in War Thunder, but I still didn't know War Thunder existed at that point, so I didn't know at the time. A few months later, January 2023, I played War Thunder for the first time. I played maybe a game, I think, in the American P-26 reserve plane, and then I didn't play it again until July 2023, which was when I, had no real thing to do that summer. So I started to play more and more and quickly unlocked Rank 3 America before I convinced my dad to let me buy, with my own money, I believe if I remember correctly, the F5C. I had fun with it and then began the spend money area. I had fun with it and then began the spend money era of my War Thunder saga. The reason I called it that was because I thought to myself, oh, well, I only care about American and Soviet aircraft. Why don't I just buy multiple premiums in these two tech trees to get some variation instead of having to buy premiums in every tech tree because I don't care about any other tech tree. I then bought four more premiums in American Air and four premiums in Soviet Air. All of these were rank 6 or 7, so I spent a lot of money on that, which I sometimes wish I didn't. This was all not on sale, so it was full price. But it's nothing compared with what I did next. When I bought almost $1,000 worth of Golden Eagles, and I bought planes with convertible research. And every day I think to myself, why didn't I buy premium time instead with that GE? Why? A little extra little bit here. While writing the script and, a couple days before I was going to record audio and visuals for the video, Gaijin decided to announce the Iranian F-14A, which gets both Iranian, American, and Soviet missiles, which, I'm sure won't shake up the balance in game. If I wanted to conclude this, I think I can only do it in one way, and that is to tell you to not install War Thunder. And if you already have it installed but you don't like it, just uninstall it right now and leave a bad review, please. This game is unstable, unbalanced, unfair, and pay to progress. If I knew what I was gonna do with my money to War Thunder, I would have never installed it, or at least been more careful with my money. But when you see that War Thunder is free, don't get tricked, because if you want to play War Thunder and you want to get progress, you have to buy premium to get progress. Even people who dedicate themselves to grinding a tech tree, most of them buy premium accounts, even if they don't buy a premium vehicle. Now, there's a lot about War Thunder, and I probably forgot to mention something. So if I forgot to mention something important, please tell me. I would, like to see some input, some, response in the comments to see, is there anything I missed? Is there anything that I shouldn't have missed? Tell me. Now, this is my highest quality video I've ever made. I have a script and everything. I've never done this before. It's a very experimental type of content for me. And I would very much appreciate if you either click the like button or subscribe if you want to. Now, don't worry if you only watch my videos for War Thunder itself. I will still make bad videos about War Thunder like usual. But don't expect my schedule to get any better. It will still be pretty terrible. I hope you have a fantastic day or night, whatever time it is for you right now. And remember to brush your teeth 2 times a day.